Welcome back, folks, to another episode of DGS 2 Case 5. Asogi had a very good wake-up call thanks to Naruhodō, and now he's about to point out a big fat hole in Vortex's logic at this point in time about why Genshin didn't say anything about the possible forgery. Honestly, I really think it's just blackmail at this point. So, let's continue.
What?
Asogi Genshin's silence was because there had been no forgery. That's what you said, but that's not necessarily the case. You're overlooking the possibility that he had some reason for maintaining his silence.
Sorry, I'm checking the sound. Ludicrous. The only thing waiting for him thanks to his silence was a guilty verdict, and therefore death. If there had been forgery, it's unthinkable for him to have had any reason not to claim so.
Is it not precisely because there had obviously been forgery that the two involved in committing it have been murdered? If I avert my eyes from this long-standing hatred of mine, I'm able to see a different side of you. Have you also spent these past 10 years blinded by a major lie?
Me? This chance that Kazuma-sama has provided for us may be our last. If we can indicate the reason that Genshin-sama maintained his silence in court, then... A reason that someone who was innocent would keep silent. If there had been some sort of deal. You know what? I think so. And we're looking right at him, across the bench.
There's no need to repeat words that have already been said. The time has come to prove it. What evidence indicates the reason for Asogi's silence 10 years ago?
This? That dismissal... It's a long word. Disciplinary dismissal notice, excuse me. You're right. The result of Asogi Genshin's silence was a guilty verdict. But he wasn't meant to be executed. Far from it. The execution was used in order to launch a major jailbreak plan.
It's hard to imagine my dad making deals, but that's true. An execution, a forged death certificate, and a jailbreak making use of the transfer of the corpse. It goes without saying that this was not the sort of plan any one person could have enacted alone.
It would have to mean that he had an accomplice within the English judicial system. This is the disciplinary dismissal notice given to the head jailer at the time. There are indications of a jailbreak plan having been in place before the convict even arrived at our prison. That's what's written in the remarks section. In other words, this right here is likely an indication of a deal struck between Asogi Genshin and his supporter in the English judicial system.
In exchange for his silence in court, he was promised to be allowed to escape from the gallows. If there was a secret agreement of that nature, then Asogi Genshin's silence becomes understandable.
Actually, unless we assume that, there's no way of explaining why such an elaborate jailbreak plan was set into action.
Order! Order! So you're moving from forgery to a jailbreak.
Of course. After all, it was all connected.
The prosecution moves to summon new witnesses.
Witnesses?
The men who can testify about the jailbreak 10 years ago.
Chief Officer Barricade, and that poor head jailer.
Ridiculous! Summoning the chief officer of Barclay Prison at a time like this.
Actually, there's no need to worry, Your Honor.
What?
What?
In spite of the way he comes off, my friend can be quite thorough when the need arises. We've already sent a telegram to Barclay Prison and the detention center, telling them to appear at Old Bailey at once.
Oh my god. Holmes saw this coming too! Holmes-san, did that for us?
So then, you can't mean...
At this very moment, Chief Officer Barricade and Head Jailer Daimwachin are likely waiting out in the lobby.
Look at this cheerful, innocent smile of his.
Come, Your Honor. Let us proceed according to your declaration. Your declaration that we would pursue the truth, so that not a speck of doubt remained.
Very well. Bring them in. If it will bring this trial to a conclusion, then I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
This witness stand is getting really crowded real fast, man. Oh no, poor Everett, though. I like Baroga's just still camping up here, too.
Now, witnesses, if you could state your names and occupations.
I'm Harry Barricade. I'm the Chief Officer of Barclay Prison.
Folks call me Gossip. I sell amusing topics to gentlemen
Could we get the persona from 10 years ago instead? Please?
Pardon me. Of course, you're right. I'm Everett Daimwachin. I was the head jailer of Barclay Prison.
The reason you've been summoned as witnesses is to have you testify about the jailbreak of the professor 10 years ago.
The professor? But I believe that was already cleared up 10 years ago. It ended up being a non-issue. The moment it became clear that it was a jailbreak plan, it ceased to be a non-issue. Eh? Not only was the execution system used and the death certificate forged, but he escaped by posing as a corpse. An elaborate plan like that would have been impossible if not for a powerful ally within the prison.
Don't think you're safe just because 10 years have passed, Chief Officer Barricade. If you had some part to play in the jailbreak plan, then, naturally, you will bear that responsibility in crime. Capital punishment is even a likely possibility.
Now, hold on a moment there. All I did was...
Witness Chief Officer Barricade.
Yes, sir.
You currently bear an important responsibility to the peace and order of the Great British Empire. Testimonies are immeasurably influential. Take care in your statements. Also, Prosecutor Asogi, I won't permit badgering of the witness.
Begging your pardon.
There can be no mistaking that there was an elaborate jailbreak plan 10 years ago. And these witnesses had something to do with that plan. Now is the time for you to testify about everything.
The court will now hear your testimony. Tell us what you know about the jailbreak 10 years ago.
Here we go. Going back 10 years. The plan 10 years ago. Oh wow, okay, we're already picking up music. 10 years ago, a letter of instruction arrived from the prosecutor's office on the day that the guilty verdict was handed down. I left the condemned prisoner in the hands of Dame Gyakuten, the head jailer, and secretly began to put the plan into action.
I was in charge of him until the night of his execution. I didn't know anything about such a plan.
I don't know whether there was some kind of deal between the prisoner and the prosecutor's office. All I did was set the plan in motion. It was all for the sake of the great British Empire. So the letter of instruction from the prosecutor's office was the jailbreak plan. That's what it would mean.
Who on earth was that letter of instruction from?
I'm afraid I don't know.
You don't know?
Everything about the professor's case was unique. All I did was act as I was instructed to. I don't know a thing about anything else. Is that so?
A letter of instruction issued by the prosecutor's office ordered the jailbreak. This tells us one fact very clearly. There was a secret deal between Asogi Genshin and the prosecutor's office, which means that they had a deal. He would confess to the crime in return for the promise that he be let free.
Prosecutor Asogi, that is nothing more than your conjecture. Now then, defense?
Yes!
It's obvious that these men have no further information that they can offer, but... do you still intend to insist on your right to conduct a cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. I have no intention of surrendering that right.
Just how stubborn are the Japanese. Very well. Your cross-examination, then.
Alright, let's see. Where are we pressing? It looks like we're pressing on the last statement from the looks of it. 1, 2... Something about all setting his plan in motion for their great... Okay. Did you put the whole plan into action? Yes, it was all we could do at the time.
It's said that after the jailbreak, Asogi Genshin was shot to death in Lowgate Cemetery. Was that also part of the plan?
What we were ordered to do was to carry him out of the prison. So I don't know what happened after that. However, his death was the final phase of the plan. That's what I think. Dame Gyakuten! Are you okay? Dame Watchin-san, is everything okay?
Yes, sir. What is it?
That salute. Maybe it's part of the manual at Barclay Prison? You appear to have sunk into thought after hearing Chief Officer Barricade's testimony. Did something occur to you?
I've lived these past 10 years with my memories sealed away. I have been betrayed by the Chief Officer in the name of the Great British Empire.
So in the end, does that mean my dad also ended up being betrayed by the Great British Empire?
It's just, when I think back on it now, I can't imagine that having that Japanese man shot to death in the cemetery was part of the plan.
What makes you say that?
I mean, think about it. Bribing him with a jailbreak into confessing to the crimes, and then ultimately killing him. What a terrible plan. But if they were going to kill him anyway, then why would they need to have bothered letting him escape once?
True. You're absolutely right. It had been the plan from the beginning to portray Asogi, and they should have just taken care of him in the prison.
This all happened in the giant locked room known as the inside of the high prison walls. I guess there's no one who knows what really happened there, huh? You're right. It is a very curious mystery.
Actually, there's something I thought strange as well. If we assume that there was some sort of deal behind that jailbreak, then there's something that just doesn't make sense. It sounds like we ought to have Chief Officer Barricade add his doubts to his testimony. Oh, sure. Alright then. For starters, there's no way that Japanese man could have had anything worth trading. What about the Asogi files, which I'm not sure where it is at this point. Is that the Asogi files? It says Asogi. Yes. I can't read the kanji, but there's little furigana. Is it called furigana at the top? So, anyway. A promise that he be allowed to escape in return for confessing to being guilty of being a serial killer. That was likely an incredibly dangerous exchange for Asogi Genshin.
Of course it was. If he'd been betrayed by England and the execution had been carried out confidentially, then the secret would have been protected. If you think about it, there's no way a verbal promise like that would have been honored.
In other words, Asogi Genshin must have possessed some sort of ace up his sleeve. A powerful weapon that would have protected him from betrayal at all costs. There's no way You already know. About the Asogi file. This is the will that Asogi Genshin left behind. Apparently, Asogi Genshin snuck his will into his cell with him. Head jailer Dame Watchin-san saw it. Did you leak this information? I told you that was a secret!
You're not in a position to do anything to me anymore.
Please stop! Don't harass Dame Watchin! When Dame Watchin-san glimpsed that document from behind the bars, apparently Asogi Genshin said this.
Alright then. So, what is that document?
My will. This will is my final weapon. A weapon? And then, after Asogi Genshin was killed after the apparent jailbreak plan, did that will not end up going missing?
Yes. The jailers searched his belongings, but the will was the only item that they simply couldn't find.
I heard that it was named the Asogi file and was thoroughly investigated. Chief Officer Barricade, apparently you were the one who demanded that the jailers search for it. Oh? Could that be that you knew? Did you know of the power hidden within the will, known as the Asogi file? Ridiculous! I have no idea what you're talking about! Besides, that's right, that Japanese man's will ended up being found. Right there, in his cell.
In his cell? Where on earth was it hiding? We jailers searched every inch of his cell.
Maybe you're just rubbish at giving instructions!
You're not in any position to criticize me anymore.
Please, help him. I believed I showed it to you as well, Mr. Attorney. Yes, this is the document in question. It's written in Japanese, the writings of Asogi Genshin. It begins. Excuse me.
That means that there's no problem here, does it not?
Wrong tone. However, this will contains a contradiction.
What? A contradiction?
Asogi Genshin referred to this as his final weapon. But this is just a plain old will. There's no weapon contained in it. Don't tell me, the fence, that you intend to claim that will that has been preserved at Barclay Prison is a fake. As we've already proven, Barclay Prison is not to be trusted.
The defense's comment just now called shame upon the English judicial system. The bit about it containing a weapon was nothing but the head jailer's claim, for starters. It was likely that either he misheard or it was false testimony.
No. Please wait. I definitely heard him say that. It's not a lie.
We'd better take this opportunity to clear up the circumstances surrounding that will, known as the Asogi file.
That's not necessary. There was never any other will.
Dame Watchin-san's life was ruined 10 years ago when he was betrayed by the law. Do you intend to hear his screams again? Turn a deaf ear to them and discard them, claiming their lies.
What is Barclay Prison hiding?
The prosecutor's office gave the order for the jailbreak. that ended up being true.
Isn't it obvious that some sort of deal was made?
Does His Honor really intend to deny that?
What?
The head jailer's claim ought to be pursued further.
Testify!
Continue the trial. We need to hear his testimony.
Apparently those gathered here have no eye for the truth. Very well then, continue your testimony. Regarding the condemned prisoner's will, you say you saw 10 years ago.
Understood, sir.
I think we only have time to hear this. I don't think I have time to really press it. We're like 4 minutes left before time's up, so let's see what we can do. Hisogi's file, or Hisogi file, excuse me.
I, as the jailer in charge of the prisoner, kept watch over him and cared for him. The night the guilty verdict was handed down, he had that will in his hands, in his cell. But after the execution, no matter how we searched his cell, we couldn't find it.
I knew of the existence of the Hisogi file because I was ordered to obtain it. That was found inside his kimono, which he left in his cell.
That's a lie. In his kimono. We investigated it so hard we nearly tore it apart. There's no way we could have overlooked it. That's a lie.
Damn you. You think you could get away with calling me a liar not once, but twice?
Ha! There's nothing you can do to me now. Aside from grab me by my lapels and give me a good shake. Go on, shake me. What's wrong? Are you scared?
What is going on? Holy shit, they make a great comedy duo. I'm starting to think they make a pretty good pair. Yes, same.
We did as much as we could to respect the terms of that Japanese man's will. I gave the instruction for all his belongings to be sent to his family in Japan. As a show of manners towards the serial killer's homeland.
Allow me to express my thanks for your consideration. My dad's belongings did indeed all arrive in Japan.
And the handwriting on the will must belong to that Japanese man.
I agree. I can guarantee that this handwriting is my dad's.
Really?
The final weapon, huh? It would seem that the claim was no more than a mouthful of nonsense from a prisoner staring down his execution. Now then, the defense may conduct his cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. We're like 40 seconds away from hitting 30-minute mark, so I'm sorry, we will have to stop here for today, and we'll just have to continue this testimony in the next video. Sorry about that. I'll see you guys then.
Ridiculous! Summoning the chief officer of Buckle, fuck.